Susana. Welcome to our podcast, Power of Hope, in
Thank you
which
for having me.
we well we have not see each other for a
Very
long,
long
long
time.
time.
Yeah.
Yes, too long. And actually, we were looking to what Wave, amazing things Wave Network is doing throughout the years, and I'm sure you have seen a lot of good things happening because having so many NGOs throughout Europe mobilized around the different parts of implementation of the Istanbul Convention must be inspiring. So we thought of trying to collect some of the things working and to see how can we use it in our daily life, because we have a lot of women NGOs following us and trying to see what we can use. And so maybe having as being, how is it being president of Wave? Yeah, it's
Well, it's a privilege to start with, to be president of Wave. I mean, I think I never wasn't something I had planned on, but it is. I was before I was president of Wave. I was a member of the board for 4 years, so it was not something that I was not familiar with, and I wasn't just suddenly. On the board and working sort of on the strategic direction of the network. But no, it's a privilege, of course, and I'm extremely lucky because, as you saw today, we're an extremely rich and diverse network covering 46 European countries. So there's a wealth of knowledge and experience and innovation and resilience within the network. We say we're a network of women's specialist services, but when we say women's specialist services, we have a very broad understanding of what that is. And what I mean by that is that these are organizations like, my
yeah,
organization,
means
because we
yes,
work
yeah,
together
yes.
so many times, that does training and awareness raising, advocacy, education and so on, which I would say is in the area of prevention, if you like, chapter 1 and 2 of the Istanbul Convention.
Yes.
But
You
we
have done
also
your homework.
but we're also a network of organizations that provide vital frontline support and specialist support to women who are experiencing domestic and other forms of violence against women. And even in that area, we have buy-in for organizations, meaning organizations that provide support to marginalized women at particular risk, migrant women. I mean, I can go on about the wealth and of the network. So I think this is where the strength of the network is, because we can harness a lot of this knowledge and experience. And even today, I mean, I've been a member of, my organization has been a member of this network for, I don't know, maybe I don't know, 18 years or something like that. But still, every time I come to these meetings, we learn something new. There's more to share. There's more, and I think particularly now in the world we're living in, where the challenges are so great. I mean. Backsliding on democracy, shrinking civil society space, cuts in funding. I mean, the list goes on. And also a lot of mistrust around mistrust and let's say myths around the Istanbul Convention, which as a network where it's one of our highest priorities is to ensure its effective implementation, we manage to build strength and resilience through networking, the connection, and learning from each other. And it gives us this sort of energy and inspiration, if you like, that we take back with us. But, I mean, That's just
Yeah,
my
if you,
introduction.
yeah, well, if it would be like, I don't know, to like you have to pick something, like you have, like you're on the island, and you can have with you only three things which are good from all the P's of the Istanbul Convention. What would it be like in terms of good models of protection or good models of prevention you can share with us, or I don't know, prosecutor perpetrators and stuff like that.
What in terms of promising practices that I've
Yeah, yeah,
seen
it's seen around in wave, yes,
Oh wow.
happening. I know it's
Yeah.
not fair just to pick something, but I think it would be inspiring for both of our
I mean, I
audience.
just now, right at the top of my head. I mean, one thing that we've been talking about a lot, we talk about a lot, and also in my country, in Cyprus, um, is the requirement and the obligation under the Istanbul Convention to work in partnership with women's organizations.
Wow,
And
it's good.
no, that's what the convention says.
Oh, okay. I
Right? No,
thought no, I
that's
thought
what.
you find the solution.
No,
Oh,
well, no, I
okay.
didn't find the solution, but I think there's some
Okay.
good. I've heard of some good elements. I would say promising. I don't want to say good or excellent or perfect, but we found examples where civil society organizations and women's organizations, women's specialist services have been valued, have been recognized. I mean, just one example. I mean, no system is perfect, so I don't need
Of
to
course.
point out one
Yeah.
example and
Yeah.
that this is some
No,
sort
no,
of like the
just
model,
as structure at least,
but
yes.
a structure and perhaps elements
Yeah.
of that system that we can take on. So, for example, we do a lot of free work for public authorities, right?
Yeah.
Come to this consultation, we go to the consultation. No one pays us for our time, no one pays us for our energy, and no one pays us
For the
for our
travel.
technical expertise, our travel.
Yeah.
I mean, in the sense that this is, we're supposed to be honored for the privilege of being allowed at the table and
Yes, yes.
voicing our opinion. And what we found, at least in my country, we find that this contributes to our burnout. The fact that there are constant demands, to go to parliament, to submit evidence, to submit our recommendations, and so on. In Belgium, for example, NGOs are provided with some, even if it's symbolic, financial contribution towards their time. And I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, through an agreement, a protocol of cooperation between the sector, the civil society sector working on violence against women, and the government authorities. I mean, that is a model that I know is not perfect,
Yeah, but
as
it's
many
a start.
organizations in Belgium
Yeah.
would say, but it is a
It's
start because
yes.
at least even if it's symbolic, it provides that recognition.
Yeah, your time, your work, your expertise, yes.
And the reason I point that particular example out is because we're increasingly feeling that we're working in a hostile environment in many countries, and this is what we're hearing. To extreme examples where human rights, women's rights defenders are persecuted by the authorities. Other examples where they're persecuted by hate speech online. So I think any model where women's organizations are valued, even better funded, so that covers Articles 8 and
That's
9
the
of the
next
Convention,
level. Yeah. Yes.
and funded without being co-opted.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Without being co-opted, because that's another danger, I think is good. And I think another example of good cooperation between government authorities and women's organizations is in Austria, that I've seen. Again, not perfect, but the foundation is there. So yes, I would highlight that.
And the last question is looking around to the countries who have signed but didn't ratify yet the convention, is any type of advice or, I don't know, model you would share with them in order to make them not give up to the idea of going through until the end?
For women's organizations? or
for women
organizations?
organization and countries, parties in general, because there is always a political will behind every ratification. So now we've seen a lot of countries who are stagnating in the phase of just signature, and they are around in Europe, and that's still a blockage around the issue. So is there anything else which you think has an effect in
Well,
all the
I mean,
cases you have seen,
that, that,
which
that,
led to, we have all these groups on the country who have ratified back in the observatory, and whereas we
right,
have the
yeah.
three groups, so
Yeah,
who has
exactly.
signed, who has
Those who signed, those who signed and
yeah,
ratified.
yes,
Exactly.
yes. So
So,
that's the exercise now.
well,
Yeah.
I think now that we're in a completely different place, because now we have quite a good number of countries that have ratified,
Yes, yes.
and I think that maybe something that we can use to our advantage is to show that the world did not fall apart because a country ratified the Istanbul Convention.
Oh yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
that's the reverse
To really
psychology.
demonstrate,
Yeah, yes.
demonstrate that those
Yeah.
countries that have ratified, actually, the Istanbul Convention has been a driver of positive change, and positive change, because that would be that's up to interpretation. One government would say this is not positive change for us because it's promoting the rights of whatever. It's promoting gender ideology or teaching kids how to have sex and all of these myths, right?
Yeah.
But actually, to show now, I think we're in a place where we can show those examples of countries that perhaps were reluctant at first, then went ahead and ratified, and it can show now that it was actually a driver of positive change. And what I mean by positive is that it mobilized state authorities. They've got new protocols, there's multi-agency cooperation, new services have been developed, or there is an action plan in place, or there have been positive amendments to. So I mean, perhaps we are in a place now to show that, the world did not end because they ratified the Istanbul Convention, and to perhaps highlight, maybe from those countries that were initially quite reluctant, to highlight what positive change it brought, but positive change that no one can dispute. For example, saving lives, right? Or, I don't know any country that this has taken place, fewer femicides, or, an increase in women seeking reporting and seeking support. I mean,
that's true.
No one can dispute that is positive change, right? All of these sort of misconceptions about what would happen if we ratify the Istanbul Convention did not come to fruition in any country, right? So I think that perhaps this is maybe something that women's organizations and those professionals in state authorities who are our allies and are pushing for this can perhaps use as an advocacy tool.
I think that's a very good advocacy tool. Thank you very much, Susana.
Thank
it was
you.
a pleasure seeing you again here in Romania, in Bucharest. So hopefully we'll not wait for another 10 years to see each other again.
You've been busy.
Yeah, well,
as we all have.
Yes, we all have our past.
That's true.